Western Conference Podcast. Your boy Big Body Cisco here. And today's a special day because I have one of my lifelong friends in building, but you guys know him all across, but we're going to get into that. Shout out to my brother Brand One. What's going on, brother?
What's good?
You know, this was a long time coming because we've been friends for a long, long time. We won't show our age there, but you've been doing a lot of things in the game. And I said, B, it's about time you come on the show. Because we already have Mike from Savs in here. Yep. And right when we did that, I said, we definitely got to get you on here. But introduce yourself to the Western Conference family.
Brandon Murio, Mojo Brandon on Instagram, and I just do a lot of stuff, I guess.
See,
so I'm told.
And this is the thing. When he says a lot of stuff, I don't think you understand how much stuff he's done. If you've been following me over the years, a lot of things that you know that I've been involved with, Brandon has been a big part of it. Talking about from him being my manager, all the stuff we're going to talk about. We got to get back to day one because this is definitely a place that we want to start our story on how you even got to where you are at now. So give us the grassroots on how the beginning of Brand One started.
So I was born at a very young age.
Yeah.
It goes back to me growing up in San Francisco, and I feel like just being kind of more of a product of the city and not knowing what I was going to do. I used to always trip off like, am I going to be successful or am I going to be a bum?
But enhanced product, when you say product of San Francisco, enhance what that consists of. Because I think people, when they said, oh, you could be a product of San Francisco, but on your kind of aspect of it, what was you being a product of San Francisco at that time?
I mean, you got to understand San Francisco, when I was younger, when we were younger, we were really raised out on the streets.
Yeah.
Parents weren't really as active in our life as we are now with our kids. So we were just out, during the day and just back by sunset, right? And so I was out and I was in a neighborhood that had a lot of other people like, my age.
Yeah.
But it was great. Like I got to see some great sports in my city. I got to be exposed to a lot of different cultures. But we were just out in the streets, and I think being out in the streets is exactly what you think about that, is you can get into a lot of different things.
Well, rep the street you grew up on.
Well, I grew up in the Outer Mission. So I grew up up above Geneva Mission, but it's called the Outer Mission.
Yeah.
It was great.
Because this is where all the game starts to come in. Okay. I mean, this is everything you're starting to soak up because we don't know what we're going to be at this age and time, right? Yeah. We're just trying to survive in a city that, we got everything, we got every nationality. That's what was good about San Francisco, too. You had everybody from Samoans, Filipinos, Asians, whites, all over in the city. So the diversity definitely helped you with what you were doing as well, right?
Well, definitely. I mean, it's funny because everyone looks at me and they think I'm Filipino.
Yeah.
What I think.
Right from the gate.
I have some Hispanic background or whatever, but I'm basically a true mixed nut. I'm multi-ethnic.
Tell us what you are.
So my father is half Hawaiian and white.
Got it.
My grandfather came from Hawaii to San Francisco.
Yeah.
My mother is full Japanese.
Okay. But
she's she was born in San Francisco. My parents met in San Francisco. So basically, I'm multiple cultures. It's funny though; everyone thinks I'm Filipino, which is great.
Yeah,
which is great. I have a lot of Filipino friends, and I know a lot about their culture. But I'm not Filipino at all.
But growing up in such a diverse city, and you being Hawaiian, Japanese and stuff like that too, how did that go into you growing up, saying, okay, what am I going to do? What was the fork in the road for Brand One to say, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life? Did it come early in the game, or did that come later on as you grew up?
So I think my ethnicity had nothing to do with, not as much to do with it as you would think.
Yeah.
But I think it was just more, like I said, being a product of the streets and not wanting to be a failure.
Yeah.
And maybe not to my parents, but definitely not to myself.
Yeah.
So I think it was definitely after high school. I went to Balboa High School, and people know Balboa now. It's a great school.
Yeah, but back then.
But when I was going there, it was probably one of the roughest schools.
Yeah.
And this was around the time, just after a time where there was a lot of San Francisco gang violence going on.
The dope era.
The dope era, Sunnydale, Hunters Point. This was right after Peter Lee getting killed. So, I went into an environment as a kid I knew nothing about. And, although I was on the streets, I was never a gangbanger.
Yeah.
I was never a tough guy. I was never nothing like that. So when I went to Bal, I think you grow in your high school years. But to answer your question, I left Bal and went I didn't want to go to City College.
Yeah.
So I ended up going to Skyline College. Fast forward, I'm still at Skyline 4 years later.
Yeah.
And I'm still a freshman.
What was the decision making in you not wanting to go to City though? Because if you're from San Francisco, City's where everybody went to. City College.
I already
San
knew. I knew if I went to San Francisco City College, I
Yeah.
would just be with the people I was with at Bal, and I just felt like it wasn't gonna take me nowhere.
Yeah.
I mean,
See, but at a young age, a lot of these kids today, you are who you hang out with, who you are who you grow up with. That had to be something in you to say, okay, I'm not going to follow the crowd. I'm going to go try to do my own thing, because if I follow that crowd, I might be going somewhere that I don't want to be.
I mean, to be honest, I still hung out with the same people.
Yeah, the core.
The core people, and I met new people at the new school that were the same type of people.
Yeah.
So really, I didn't grow up then.
Yeah.
I think it was 4 years later, like I said, I was still a freshman. And
what were you doing at Skyline? What was the major? Just to get it over with?
I was just there because I think my mom was like, you want to live here? You got to go to school.
You got to go to school?
You're not doing nothing else, go to school. So I went to school.
Yeah.
So I did nothing. I just went there and I did what you're not supposed to do. I partied and found other ways to make money.
See, and I like telling stories like this because there's kids out there at that transition stage where they are doing nothing, where they're all like, "Oh, I'm just going to college just because my parents want to go to college."
I feel like no kid at that age, at 18 to 21, no boy knows what the hell they're doing unless they had a baby early and they kind of forced to grow up.
Hi guys, that was me.
I wasn't forced to grow up yet. I wasn't forced to grow up, so I just did what I did, and I just kind of, I think that's where I felt like I became an entrepreneur even earlier.
Yes.
However I could, we didn't have money
because of the independency. Because that's how you
we didn't have any money growing up.
Yeah.
We had no money. I mean, my father wasn't around when from 12 on.
Yeah.
My mom was struggling. I remember she lost her job. She was working at Stonestown before it was a Galleria, and then she got let go of her job, and then there was no income for I think a year or two.
So you were forced to fend for yourself.
Definitely.
Yeah.
There was no allowance. I didn't have allowance. Even if I had chores.
Yeah.
Didn't mean I got paid for them. I was just expected to do what I had to do, right?
But when people are in that position and they have to fend for themselves, at that age and at that point in time, we're not thinking entrepreneurship. We're thinking how to survive our current elements and our current situation.
Exactly.
So how did you do that being 4 years at Skyline just to go to Skyline? When did it click in you to say, okay, I gotta do something?
It was funny. I was getting in trouble.
Yeah.
I think from 13 on, I was getting into a little bit of trouble before I was 18. And then when I was at Skyline, I think I was still making bad decisions.
Yeah.
I say bad decisions because I remember my dad, he was still, around. He just wasn't living at our house.
Yeah.
And he left a note that said, you need to make better decisions. And I got mad because I was like, hey, you're not even here.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? And I wasn't making
That's a
decisions.
lot.
I was going with the flow.
Yeah.
Right? Your friends become your family and you kind of do what they do. You guys become this little thing where you're like-minded.
Exactly.
Right? You're like-minded and then you do these things.
You are who you hang out with.
Exactly.
At that point. Yeah.
So I think at one point, when I was 21, I looked at myself, I was like, I'm going to be that bum.
Yeah.
I'm going to be that bum. I'm not doing good in school. I don't got nothing going for me. Other people are going to graduate college.
Yeah.
Even though I really didn't want to go to college, I was using it more as a social thing. I decided at that point, I remember my dad, once again, wasn't...
But say that again before we get into that. You used college as a social thing. And
Definitely.
I think, with social media now, we didn't have it back then. Kids these days use school, I think, to use that as a social thing. And I'm glad you said that.
But let's be honest, the major part of school and education is the social part.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? To learn skills is great.
Yes.
To learn skills in real life and actually use them in real life is the important part.
Yeah.
So when you're going to school, you're really learning how to grow a network, do what you're told.
And learning how to deal with
good
people.
And bad. Yeah, deal with different personalities and just be able to learn how to be an adult. So it's kind of a transition year. I don't know if I require my kids to go to school, but I still encourage them to do it.
See, and that's the thing with me. I have sons that are in school, and I was never the father that was like, you got to stay in school. Only because we're different the way I raise my kids, and everyone's different how they raise their kids. I always thought school, and don't quote me on this, people, when you guys hear me say this. I thought it was a waste of time, but I thought it was used for the socialness, for the social gathering. And when my kids were there, I said, look, if you could find your passion early, and you know what you want to do for the rest, and this is my advice to my kids when they were growing up. do what you want to be passionate about now, because you're going to be regret doing all this school and have to go through all these tribulations.
How many people find their passion that early?
You're right.
Let's be honest.
And that's exactly what my son told me. He's like, "What's passion?" I said,
they don't know.
Damn it.
They have no idea what passion is.
Yes.
I think as a boy, when I get back to it, I said, boys 18 and 21, they don't know what they're doing.
Absolutely.
I had no idea what I was doing, but I knew I was good at problem solving.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about math.
Yeah.
And
You're talking about real life problems.
Real life problem solving. I knew how to basically just continue progressing forward.
Yeah.
Right. So when I was 21, I went to San Francisco State as a freshman.
Yeah. After Skyline.
Because
you transitioned right over to it.
There was no point of going. Once you're 18, I think you can go wherever you want to go, really. So my dad gave me a bulletin. Was like, hey, you like art, right? You like doing, like, I see you draw in your book and do all this graffiti stuff, and which I wasn't a graffiti artist, by the way. I knew a lot of them and I hung around with some, but I wasn't a graffiti artist. And he was like, but you got to use computers to do art. That's the next big thing. So I'm dating myself, but this was at the beginning when computers was used to do artwork.
Yeah.
And I looked at the program. It was called Conceptual Informational Arts at San Francisco State. It was an exploratory new major.
So it was like new to the game. It was like a new
This
system.
is new. This was transferring from being the typical traditional graphic design to using computers to do.
Yeah. So and that's basically what it was for those following at home. It was graphic design early in the game.
It was using computers as a medium to do artwork. And I was like, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. But that's crazy how Pops, who wasn't really around, to kind of say, okay, let me plant this seed.
By the way, I'm really good friends with my father.
Oh, I love Pops. I love Pops to the life of me. But like when you're growing up, that seed was planted.
Yes.
And you, at that point, are looking for any kind of direction. Like, okay, let me see what this is about. Because this later on in the story, it gets bigger. But this early moment of graphic design being presented to you by Pops, after you growing up in the city of San Francisco and just being a brand new class at San Francisco State, this is where the story begins.
This is where the story begins.
Yeah.
And you got to realize that when you pick a major, you don't do your major till your third and fourth year.
Yeah.
So you're doing prerequisites for that.
Yeah.
And since I came from Balboa High School, which wasn't, unfortunately, a great school, did not get me prepared for college. I went to Skyline, was not prepared, so didn't do well. I had to keep retesting to see what level I was to find out where I started. Yeah. So I would always start at the bottom of English and math, and I thought I was smart.
Yeah.
I wasn't smart. I found out later I was not that smart. I mean, I think I'm pretty smart.
Yeah.
But on the testing level, I wasn't smart. So I just started from the beginning, and I did my 2 years of undergrad, or whatever you call it, general ed, general requirements at San Francisco State. I had to retake everything. I think I only had like 8 or 10 units when I transferred.
Yeah.
But you know what's crazy is there was a lady there that was friends with my mom. They went to church together, and she knew that I was transferring there. And then so I get this call to come over to the office. I don't know if my mom told me or someone was like, this lady wants to see you. And I remember this day, and she was like, go to her office. She's gonna, at this time. And so I went there, and she sat me down. She knew me as a little kid from being around the
And this is
church.
at San Francisco State.
This is at San Francisco State. And she's like, Brandon, she pulls out all these paperwork, and she's like, you have like D's and F's, and you withdrew. And she saw everything in my college career.
She just had your resume
she had everything.
Showing you.
She had something to do with admissions and all that. She literally went into my record and erased everything.
Oh, wow.
I don't know if legally she was supposed to do that, but as a friend, she felt like she was helping me out. She said, she asked me some questions, and then she erased it. She goes, this is now gone from your record. Now what are you going to do?
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
Wow.
You have a fresh start.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I already told you what I'm going to do. I'm really going to do this. And another pivotal thing I did that year was stop smoking weed.
Oh, wow.
I was 21. I was smoking weed from maybe 13, I don't know, in middle school at Apis, but heavy in high school.
So you was a straight weed head, straight stoner.
I was high every day.
Yeah.
Cypress Hill taught me how to roll a blunt on their first issue of High Time.
Yeah. So you was a stoner. You was a stoner at San Francisco State.
I was a stoner.
You got a clean picture of health because you got a clean slate. Because
I stopped smoking weed, and I got the clean slate in school.
Yeah.
So this was my second chance to do what I knew.
And not a lot of people get that.
Exactly.
Yeah. And you got it.
Yeah, I mean, I think people do get it. I think do they take it for
They
what
don't
it
realize
is?
what it is. Exactly what you just
we
said.
all
Yeah.
get it.
Yeah.
We all get something. There's always someone that comes in your life and that helps you out.
And a pivotal moment is right, because at that moment,
You got to be ready to pivot, though.
this is where it starts getting good. And what happens after that?
I mean, I go to school, and I think, high school was bad. Junior high school was horrible. College started looking pretty good. I got into my major, which was arts. And they didn't really know how to teach it, but I did learn the basics of all these different computer programs.
Yeah.
But what I did do was I was like, I'm going to try to get a 4.0.
Yeah.
I've never gotten a 4.0 in my life. I was always like a C, C.
What
student.
was the reasoning behind you wanting to shoot for that?
I mean,
Because you had the clean
I don't
start?
know, it's just something in me, right? Something
Yeah.
that always tells myself to do the best you can. I think when I had a clean head of not smoking weed anymore, some people say, I can't function without weed, or when I smoke weed, that's when I do my best work. For me, that wasn't the case.
Shout out to everybody smoking weed watching this episode like,
Yeah.
fuck.
I'm still involved in
shit.
I'm still involved there too.
Now what am I going to do?
But so I don't think I got the 4.0, but I got
Yeah.
like a 3.83 or something.
Yeah.
Which is in college.
good.
In college, that was my
San
last.
Francisco State, you doing
San
it.
Francisco State.
Yeah.
And I graduated with a degree in Bachelor of Arts.
Yeah.
In art. And a week later, I opened up my first office,
Yes.
and I didn't even go to my graduation.
So, and we're talking about when we're the grassroots of graphic design, and now you're opening your first office now you're really in the independent game, because now you're looking for office space, you're looking for what you're going to do. What was telling you how I'm going to make money to pay for this office? Was it going to be
I
your
was
graphic
doing
design?
stuff to make money already.
Absolutely.
Which I was trying to transition out of. And, I think this was something that I was like, wow, I got this degree, which people need to know you don't need a degree to do art.
But it's good to have.
It's good to have, because there always might be a possible glass ceiling over you, because you need a degree to get to a certain level in a corporation.
I like how they said it's good to have, like I had one. I don't have one.
Yeah, no,
but it's good to have.
artists just have, you want to get that skill. This is just the route I took. But I was lucky enough that I did have money at the time, and I had some people, a girlfriend at the time, had a family and friends that were all entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
And these people were big in the city as far as the hip hop scene.
Yeah.
Alex,
But stay right there.
yeah.
When you're around entrepreneurs, doesn't it change your mindset? Like we just talked about it before. You are who you hang around with. You just said your girlfriend at the time had entrepreneur friends. Like if she had, just to say she had drug dealer friends, it probably would go the drug dealer route. But because she had the entrepreneur friends and circle, that kind of threw it into a loop in its own right?
Yeah, I think I met a lot of the right people. And I mean, to be honest, I wasn't hanging around these people.
Yeah.
I think they just knew who I was. And I think when I did graduate and the word got out that I was a graphic designer, and I wasn't a good one,
Yeah.
I think people were like, hey, Brandon's a graphic designer, we should ask him.
Yeah.
So at that time, let me backtrack, because actually I started my company, my first company, Brand One Design, when I was in college still.
Yeah.
So I was at
so while you were at State.
So when I
Okay.
was at State in my room's at my mom's house, when I was in my 20s, early 20s or mid 20s, I started Brand One Design, and my clients would come to my house.
That was the office.
That was the office.
Yeah.
That was the office. So I had big clients back then.
Yeah.
I had some of the first nightclub promoters in San Francisco.
Yeah.
I had some of the first music executives in San Francisco at the time. I had some of the first clothing executives in San Francisco at the time as my clients.
Yeah.
Because I think I was just one of the few graphic person that can use a computer to do graphics.
Yeah.
And they were told, we need this digital. We need this. So, I worked with some,
Yeah, this is where you start name dropping. You know that, right? Because in podcasts, they always want to say, who are you talking about? This is where you name drop, because you're in the living room office when you're dealing with
bedroom,
rappers and you're dealing with the promoters. Tell them who you was dealing with.
So, I mean, to be honest, when I got introduced to, I'd say Alex Aquino.
Shout out Alex Aquino, man.
And he was there at the very beginning, and I think he exposed me to a lot of people. So, and also Gizmo, who was part of KNT, started a clothing line called Sucker Free.
Yeah. Wow.
Back then, who also, they were all kind of one family, and they're super powerful.
Yeah.
Some Filipino guys that were just like, I don't even know why it matters what ethnicity they are, but they were huge in hip hop, not just in the Bay Area, but worldwide.
Yeah.
So anyways, I got tied in with them, and I think Alex Aquino and Lloyd Lewis were my first nightclub promoters
as clients. Yeah.
And all I did was design flyers for them. And I remember the first time Alex was like, hey, Lloyd Lewis is going to come by. He's my partner. We're doing this party called One Love. And this party got huge, and we need a new graphic designer.
Yeah.
So he came to my house, and he just had all this stuff, and he's like, I want to do this, 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 and that. And as I knew how to do graphic design, I just never did it at that level.
Yeah.
So I was kind of learning.
As you were going along.
And I was getting paid.
Got it.
So at that time, he was like, oh, how much do you charge? I was like, oh, $45 an hour.
Yeah. You didn't even know what to charge at that point.
I didn't know, I was just, and then what he did is he sat with me while I did the design.
Yeah.
So I think my way of thinking was, I need you to tell me what you want, and I want you to see as I do it so you get what you want.
Yeah. Because that's not always the case.
That's
You're
never
not
the
always
case.
going to be able to sit with a client and have them kind of say, oh, I want this here, that there, because you like grassroots. We're talking about Alex Aquino's right over your shoulder. He's trying to tell you what you want on there. But now the older you get, people are just saying, look, this is what I want on a piece of paper. Make it happen.
Yeah, I think now what people do is don't even tell you what they want.
Yeah.
They just say, I know when I see it. So those kind of clients, it's hard to get. When you say have a passion, that means you have fun doing something. It's hard to get having fun doing something when you're trying to discover all this stuff about them or their brand or them, or, of what they're putting out.
Well, especially to put out what you're trying to do as a graphic designer.
I'm a tool.
Yeah.
I'm just a tool. I'm a graphic designer is a
Mm-hmm.
tool at this time. So I was a tool for everyone.
Yeah.
And Brand One Design was Brandon being a tool to get whatever's in your head out and put it on paper, or in this case on a disc.
Yeah.
Right. So at that time, Alex Aquino and Lloyd Lewis, they were big. Carl became Lloyd's partner, or at that time, Carl was a partner of CNL Promotions.
Yeah, shout out CNL.
These are San Francisco promoters that are still relevant to this day, and all these people are probably still relevant.
Yeah.
And at that time, I met Charles Kelly, and Charles Kelly was starting a record label with San Quinn, who's a legendary San Francisco.
Shout out Street Kid Chuck, man. Shout out the fam right there.
Chuck. And they were working on a new project, and that new project was Fully Loaded.
Yeah.
Fully Loaded was some younger dudes from the Fillmore that started a group, and that was Big Rich,
Don Toriano, Bailey.
Right.
And shout out Chuck, who's currently with Nick Cannon right now.
Yep.
It just shows you the growth of where we're going with this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, he's with Incredible right now, and all these people are doing great things, but he would come to my house and we would work on album covers or flyers or whatever you would need. And so I was doing music and I was doing nightclubs.
Yeah.
And then klothing, the
Sucker Free.
The girl I was with, I mentioned earlier, her brother did Sucker Free. Gizmo from KNT.
Yeah.
Knuckle Neck Tribe is a legendary dance crew that used
and these are staples in the San Francisco hip hop scene and clothing scene.
Yeah, they're a
as
West
well.
Coast Zulu Nation. I mean, they're big in hip hop. And he was doing a clothing line called Sucker Free, and he was like, "Hey, you do graphics?" I was like, "Yeah, what you want to do?" And then we just what you then saw come out as Sucker Free, the clothing line, was designs that I created with assistance of him and other people giving input.
But mind you, all these things that you are doing at this point, these are all building up. These are all resume jotter downs for you to just say, okay, this is part of the story.
Yeah, but at that time, I didn't know there were resumes. We were founders of all this stuff.
Yeah.
We were founders.
This is pioneer stuff.
This is pioneer stuff. So I didn't know it at the time, and I wasn't like getting excited, like, oh, I'm gonna work on a clothing line, or oh, I'm working. Obviously, San Quinn, GLP was huge at that time.
Yeah.
And I was a big San Francisco rap fan, and to be able to work with these guys was cool. But I was learning, and they were learning too. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? They weren't.
Everyone like that. That's what comes from the Bay Area. Everybody learned like on the curve.
Yeah, the
everybody
independent
learned as it went along.
Is deep
because that's where the independent came from for us.
Exactly.
It was San Francisco hip hop scene.
Exactly.
And when this is me. This is where me and you met. Is I was a fan of San Francisco rap. I was a fan of San Quinn and Fully Loaded and all that. And everyone would say, hey, what in the flyers that we would see as patrons being in the club. We're like, okay, who did this? That's what I was always. Who did these graphics?
So what I did that I felt like was very smart back then is I branded all the flyers with my logo.
Yes.
So I think up to that point, people weren't doing that. and I made a logo for Brand One Design, and I put on the side artwork by Brand One
Come
Design.
on, B. I still use that to this day.
Yeah.
Branding was everything. So I was like, dude, who is this dude with the little logo on the corner? Which, at this age, I don't know about logos and I don't know about branding, but that stuck with me. Every flyer I seen, every flyer that girl gives me or something like that, it had that logo on there.
And what I did is I put the logo, but then I put my phone number.
Yes.
So I put my phone number. I think it was my office number in at Alex Kino's warehouse, which was in Colma, and it had a 650 number, and that was my number. Eventually, I switched that to a website. But that's what I did on the flyers, and I shit you not, like I was probably doing 80% of all the hip hop flyers.
I remember.
So
because
every
flyer,
night,
every nightclub flyer, every hip hop flyer, it had the Brand One Design and the phone number. And it sticks with me to this day because with social media, mind you, people, this is before social media. This is when you had to be hand-to-hand flyer, guerrilla marketing. Where nowadays I put my logo on every morning message I have in the morning on Instagram because it comes from that. Exactly what you just said. Every flyer I seen, it was your logo. So everyone's like, hey, how come you keep putting your logo? I was like, you know what my logo is now, right? Because you see it so many times.
Yeah, branding is communication. So if you can see something visually, that's communication, right? Visually, it could be visually, it can be audio.
Take notes.
And these are some that you have to be repetitive at and be consistent.
Yeah.
And, so those were my first entry into what's funny is I told myself, if this doesn't work, you know what my out was? If this didn't work,
was the plan B?
Because I opened the office in Colma right after college because I was like, I got to move out of the house and do this in the office. And I was like, I'm going to do this for a year. And if this doesn't work, I'm going to teach English in Japan.
Oh, wow.
I was going to teach it. So my brother had a friend.
Hold up. Wait a minute. Where did this come from? So if this wasn't going to be a successful business, you was going to just up and leave and be an English teacher in Japan?
Exactly. Because my brother had a friend whose mom who had a program that they were like, yeah, you don't even need to speak Japanese to go teach English out there. And I was like,
wow.
And it's not like they offered it to me. I was just like, well, I'm going to reach out to them because I would love to go to Japan and do that.
Who wouldn't?
And it just worked. I actually haven't stopped since.
And that's what I'm saying. From this day, it takes us to where you're at now. I mean, that's when I had met you. You were doing the club flyers, but then when you got together, it was like, okay, if we're seeing these people already doing these club flyers, we might as well just throw the party too. So that's how
you want to know how I met Cisco? That's not how I met Cisco. What are you talking about?
All right, let's tell them how Brand One and Big Body Cisco met.
So at one point I went from design, same thing. If I'm doing design for the promoter and I'm doing design for the DJ and I'm doing design for the security guard company, why don't I just throw my own events?
Exactly, because you had all the resources.
I had
already.
all the resources, right? So I just started throwing events and. Man, there's, people come, you do the right music and you get the females there and people come. Well, you got great party patrons and then you have some that you're like, oh man, these dudes are coming. They might fuck this party up, right? Cisco and the rest of the family, it was now my family.
Yeah.
They would come and there always seems to be a little tension when
there was a problem.
Came.
There was
always a problem
because at that age, the club, your young clubbing days, me and the brothers would go. We played football. We're just playing football at City College. We're going to these parties that Brandon was doing, and we get a little alcohol in the system. And
but look, going back to it, he didn't know me at that point.
Yeah.
So what happened was I would do a party, and I maybe we're at Mission Rock, whatever I was doing, and I remember. I know security were scared of you guys. And I remember Cisco would always be at the front, like, we get in like this. And I think I pulled him to the side and I said, hey, bro, let me talk to you.
And this was the first time somebody ever pulled me to the side, too.
So I pulled him as a promoter. I'm standing at the door. I know there's a little ruckus going on. They come to the door and they're like, yo, what's up, this and that. And I was like, no, they good.
Yeah.
They're good. Come on in. You guys are good. Hey, can I speak to you real quick? So I went.
Pioneer, look, because a lot of people, let me just take you back and build the scene. They wouldn't let us in because they felt like the security couldn't handle, us if there was supposed to be a problem. So every time we would go to a club, we would say, either you're going to let us in or we're going to shut the club down. I mean, when you're young, it makes more sense. It doesn't now, but when you go to the club, you're like saying, look, I'm going to get in or we're going to shut this party down. So the first time, this is like maybe another party we went to, I seen Brandon and he said, hey, let me talk to you real quick. And he let me and all my brothers in. And we're not used to that. So we were kind of looked around like, oh, wait, we can go in without any force. we were able to go in. So he let us all in. We had a good time. He pulled me to the side and he goes, look, bro. He goes, let's just have a good time. Like, he kind of sat me down, and at that point, I was like, dude, no one's ever done this to me. At this time, I'm in my early 20s. He says, bro, let's have a good time, and trust me, you'll get into more clubs if you just have a good time. And I took that with me, and every time I would go out, I would go talk to the promoter. If I couldn't get into a club, I'd tell all my family, stay in the parking lot, let me go talk to the promoter.
Yeah.
And I mean, and it was always the thing where our conversation, I'll go to the promoter and say, look, if you don't want no, fracas, is that a word? Just let us in and we're going to have a good time.
You might as well work with us and work against us.
Exactly. And that work with us instead of against us attitude that we got going forward, look what we're doing today. I'm doing festivals with 22,000 people. Because of that mindset. Yeah. Because of what Brandon had instilled into me that, look, and I'm not even gonna lie, if he didn't tell me that, I probably would have got arrested and probably would have been a bad idea going forward. But because of that interaction with Brandon, because of that mindset of him saying, hey, let me talk to you real quick and pulling me to the side where I'm just kind of like, arr. I was like, man, that's crazy how that one conversation turned into a friendship, like for life. Because after that, we were there.
It was good timing too, because we were the first people to get the two-way.
Oh yeah, we had the two-way pagers.
Community little pagers.
Yeah, great. We're really dating ourselves now.
You couldn't do nothing but yeah.
So we were over there.
So it wasn't that many people, and I think we got it under K-Meal's dime.
Yeah, we got it under K-Meal's dime,
or something.
And we had our little. It was a sidekick. It was a sidekick.
Nah, before the sidekick, it was the little motor, the gray one.
Yeah.
Whatever.
And we were able to hit each other before there was a party, and before we even get in there.
Where are you going? Where are you going?
Brandon would hit me, like, where are you going? But that kind of turned it into where our friendship came along, and we were saying, look, I would go to Brandon's parties, and there would be DJs already there, and I would always think, I got to get on the mic to get it popping. Because I just felt, whoever was talking on the mic was cool, but I felt like I could get it more popping than them. And I would look at Brandon, he was like, go ahead and do it. And I did that for a bunch of Brandon's parties, and it started to get me hired. Other promoters like saying, hey, Cisco gets the party cracking. Hey, how much do you charge? And we go back to a story before where we didn't know what to charge back then. Oh, just give me a bottle and $100. And now it turned into a business. Now the business mind of Brand One and Big Body Cisco were coming to say, okay, we did all this stuff. You did the grassroots of coming from graphic design. I was coming up in the ranks of what I was doing, and I still didn't know what I wanted to do at that time, but I knew I wanted to be in the entertainment game. Yeah. And when I had crossed your path, we kind of crossed paths, and we kind of we've been going ever since. And I think the growth of what you brought to the game and what brought to the table with me was that you told me, look, if you do it the right way and without all the other bullshit, you can go a long way. And I think we did go a long way. And that's what we got solidified our relationship and moving. You taught me to be more business minded. And I was teaching that going forward to everyone that I was around. Hey, we don't got to fight. Hey, we don't got to fight to get in, because it was like domino effect. Yeah. It was telling me one thing, and it was kind of just transitioning to what I was telling the youngsters. Hey, we don't got to do that. Just go talk to the promoter. Tell them we're going to be cool. Yeah. And it's crazy how it goes full circle, because we still to this day, now that social media is here, if social media was around back then, I probably would have got arrested.
Oh, yeah. You would have incriminated yourself so quick.
But we adapted. And I think the adaptability as us, as a unit, you were saying, hey, let me just manage you. You know what I mean? Because I didn't know what a manager was at the time. I was like, hey, bro, people keep asking me how much I charge.
I mean, he bypassed so much. I think for us, we did a lot of events together. Yeah. We really focused. We were doing like Pro Bowl events in Hawaii.
I'm talking about huge events. I'm talking about Pro Bowl, Hawaii.
We're doing NBA All-Star.
NBA All-Star in Vegas. The only NBA All-Star in Vegas. And it was grand opening, grand closing.
Yeah, we had some great events. Yeah. We had some bad events too, but we had some great events. I mean, the thing about us, being independent, to still be doing it right now is because you have to be able to take the ups, the downs with the ups. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You have to be able to. You have to be, like you said earlier, you got to be able to pivot, and that's just something that I've always been able to do. Like, I don't dwell on the problem. I dwell on solving it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So when there's an issue, we just got to make sure we pivot to make it work out for us. And so we did a lot of stuff. We started Big Body Radio together.
Absolutely.
Actually, Cisco started Big Body Radio. And then I think I didn't really know what was going on.
But it takes us back to the branding. Yeah. I wanted to start Big Body Radio, and I didn't know how to brand. And I was like, let me get with Brand One, because I remember your logo on the flyers. It was going back to say, hey, bro, how can I brand? And this is when you were coming up and saying, look, I did a lot of graphic design stuff for flyers, for nightclubs, for clothing brands. This is how you brand it. So that's when we got together. I said, dude, just partner with me on Big Body Radio. You do all the branding, and I'll do everything
I didn't
else.
even know what it was, to be honest with you. I really didn't know what he was into. I didn't know who he was teaming up. He was teaming up with Miss
Shout out Miss K, man.
Who was a great asset for, and the great, the soil that planted the seed. But I think I think when I was able to come in and do the branding, I feel like when, like you say, not to toot my own horn.
Yeah.
But I can always make businesses look bigger than they are.
And that's what you always done.
Yeah.
Because it was because of the branding. He would design logos for companies that didn't have logos. And they were like, say, hey, let me just do this logo for you. And people didn't know the importance of a logo, which they should know by today. But once you had a logo, that was your brand. That was your, if you look at my logo now.
That was the beginning of your brand, for sure.
If you look at this logo on the back of right here, Brandon did this logo as well.
Both of them.
If you see the Big Body Cisco logo, he did this logo right here, the Western Conference one. Yeah. And it's crazy because it's all coming full circle. Every branding aspect you see in this room, Brandon did it. And it came from San Francisco State, Pop saying, hey, there's this computer graphic design thing going on.
And being, like you said, and being from the city and being an entrepreneurial spirit and being independent and fending for yourself and not wanting to fail. It's all those things.
Yeah.
Right? You're a product of your environment. So, I would really not change anything in my life. You know what I'm saying? So, it is what it is. But I mean, even for me to see where you're at and where you've grown in the last, even 2 years since the pandemic is huge. So I give you props. I always want the best for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
No matter what.
Yeah.
And I think
appreciate that.
I think what we did with Big Body Radio was huge because we didn't know what we were doing.
Yeah.
But no bullshit, we were getting 1 million downloads a month.
And say it again, B. We started this podcast. It was a FCC free radio. And I told Brandon, I said, look, I want to do this podcast because I didn't want to do mainstream radio. I wanted to kind of have my own free will to do what I wanted to do. So this FCC free radio thing was there, and he was doing other shows. It was other shows that were early podcasting days. And I went in there and I did a show with the music that I like, feel good music. We coined it feel good music. Anything that felt good.
We coined it.
Yeah, we coined it. To this day, I can tell people, feel good music came from Big Body Cisco and Brandon, but that's because of my love of music. So now when we did that, the owner of the station, shout out John at FCC free radio, who's like, dude, what are you guys doing?
He thought we were using bots.
He thought we were using bots. And I was like, no, what are you talking about? He goes, you guys have almost 750,000 downloads on your show. So he goes, oh, you guys are using a thing. He goes, oh, Brandon must be, flipping the system. We're like, nah. The next month comes, he comes into the studio and he's like, you guys are shitting me. You guys have 1 million downloads of your show. And we're like, wait, what?
We ain't making no money. What the hell's going on here?
We ain't making no money from this. So Brandon took it upon himself and was like, dude, let me look into this. If we have 1 million downloads, this obviously means something.
How do we make money?
So Brandon went and did his research and was like, dude, do we get paid off the download? Did the whole research, and just to come to find out, since we were a show that used music, we were behind the 8 ball because it was all copywritten music. So we couldn't use the show as how we wanted it for the download, so we got screwed.
But that's how we didn't get screwed because we pivoted, right?
Yeah.
So at that point when we started, we didn't rely on other formats to be able to do what we did.
Yes.
We created our own app.
Yeah.
We figured out how to take MP3s and make them clickable to listen to, and that were trackable.
Go back to that. When he says we started our own app, we had our Big Body Radio app. This is before people were doing it on iPhones, but we had an app, and it was called Big Body Radio, and we were saying, look, the consumer wants one click. So we wanted to make sure we told the developer at the time, hey, we want them to click it, and you have our show. And we just said we were doing that as we were coming up. We were just kind of learning as we were going by.
Because we couldn't get on Apple.
Yeah, we couldn't get on Apple.
We couldn't get on all these platforms.
We couldn't get on Spotify.
Would make us bigger.
Yeah.
But it was because of the music. But what did I tell you back then?
Look, I'm going to tell you this now. Brandon told me, he goes, I don't know why you want to do the music shows. They want to just hear your personality. And this is, he was like, podcasting is it. And at the time, I'm just like, bro, nobody wants to listen to my voice. You know what I mean? Which today, that's what podcasting is. But me and him fought tooth and nail to this day. And I said, I love the music. I'm going to play the music. And I fought him. He'll tell you. And he said, dude, the future of podcasting is your personality. And which I should have listened, because if I would have listened at that time, we probably would have been billionaires right now.
But really, like, if you listen to your show, like, at the end of the day, people can get your music anywhere.
Yeah.
That
And he
music,
kept telling me
well, they
that,
couldn't
too.
get the music anywhere because you were spotlighting a lot of people, and we actually were around with a lot of these artists were coming up. We were coming up at the same time, as long as and as well as Sav's coming up. It was a great time, and I think. But yeah, I felt like if we had to jump that hurdle of getting away from the music, they would have still listened to you.
Yeah.
And they are now.
That's something I couldn't. I mean, now that I'm in the podcasting world and now that I could see what Brandon's seeing, like, 10 years ago, it was just like, man, we don't get no money off the copywritten music that we're using. But I was trying to, like, kind of give light.
We tried.
Brandon tried. And I'm going to tell you
we tried
this.
to make money. I mean, to be honest, we still have the catalogs. So,
yeah, we still have the catalog of all the shows. But it was because I wanted to give artists who couldn't get on the mainstream stations a chance. And then, you know, Brandon being devil's advocate was like, bro, that's cool and all, but it's your personality that's going to drive this show. Which today, Western Conference, that's what we're doing now. But it just shows you what the pioneer and such an innovator he was, because it goes back to where you're at now. It gives us full circle to where we did the Savs thing. I'm talking about, we skipped over a lot of things because
a lot of stuff. Yeah.
His clothing brand, shout out Mike Lewanik from Savs, like all that came about because we were making World Series towels, World Series shirts and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I know Mike touched on it on his podcast.
Yeah.
And it was funny watching that because I was like, man, I felt like I was in the room with you guys, because I was like, you know, and you know, Mike actually hit me up after. He was like, man, it's crazy to think how much of I think Mike has way more to speak about than just what me and him did.
Oh no, absolutely. Shout out to brother Mike, man.
But we did come up together, you know. I had a little bit of a head start, but man, he's so strong right now.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So you know, all I can do is give props to him. But yeah, we're doing Mojo Labs, which is something I still focus on, and I think the Manny Pacquiao stuff that I really
that's what we got to go back to, man. So when we talk about graphic design, so you were designing T-shirts, and Brandon and Mike Lewanik from Savs,
everything, but yeah.
And this was the Manny Pacquiao stint because he was the hottest boxer in the world. He was of Filipino descent, which everyone thought you was. So
when Mike came to me and told me, he's like, bro, I got it. I know what we need to do. And Mike was working at a corporate company at that time.
Yeah.
And then he's like, we got to do a shirt from Manny Pacquiao. And I was like, Manny Pacquiao? I was like, the boxer?
Yeah.
And it's crazy because I saw him in his first fight in America.
Listen
which is
up,
at
kids.
San Francisco.
Listen to this.
It was in San Francisco at Civic Center.
Yeah.
And he was just an undercard, and that fight was the fight of the night. Now I can't even remember who the main card was. I think it was Cesar Chavez.
At Cow Palace, right?
No, it was at Civic Center.
Oh, okay. Got it.
And I remember my oldest son was 1 month old. It was my first day out. Regardless, whatever. So I seen Manny fight, and I was like, what are you talking about, bro?
Yeah.
And he was like, bro, the Filipinos are on him.
Yeah.
Like, they love him. So I was like, I was just like, you know, I don't know if I just trusted him or he showed me something. I don't remember, but his instincts were on point as usual, as they still are.
Yeah.
And he basically said, let's do this.
Yeah.
And then he just kind of guided my skills in a way that I think it worked. What he brought to the table, what I brought to the table together, we just had that mojo.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We had that mojo.
Hence the name Mojo Labs.
We had that mojo. You get that mojo and cook something up, and we would just cook stuff up, and it was that Manny Pacquiao stuff. And it was huge to the point he told the story, so I'm not going to tell the story, but, you know, we definitely became friends with Manny, and, you know, we were alongside him for a lot of the fights.
Yeah.
Shout out to Jackie, too. She was an integral part.
But it just goes from someone saying, like Mike said, hey, bro, this dude Manny Pacquiao, that no one knew at the time.
Yeah.
He's going to be the guy.
Filipinos knew.
Filipinos knew, which the world didn't yet.
Yeah.
And when you guys said, let's go into this by making Manny Pacquiao shirts and kind of doing the whole thing that you guys did with them, and then he blew up. And then it was just like, okay, I mean, long story short, Nike was like, okay, he's big, we'll take him now.
Yeah, I think he was always with Nike. You know, I did have some interactions with Nike too, and they kind of wanted to see if we wanted to submit designs when they really were going to focus on it, which we didn't because I was trying to make it more of a collab thing, which they wouldn't do. But yeah, I mean, it was big.
But it spawned off into doing the Manny Pacquiao stuff into the 49er stuff because we still went back to doing, you know, the legend shirts and the Frank Gores and all these.
So there's a lot of stuff we did, but I think the reason why we were successful because, you know, there's a, you can get into an industry, but you kind of need a blueprint.
Yes.
And I don't even know if the blueprint is teachable.
Yeah.
To everyone. So I just think that between myself and Mike, we just had it in us to really go hard and just like you and me when we did events and everything we did with Big Body Radio, we would be the guy setting up the background and the banners to sweeping after to every
Cleaning
single
up,
part
yeah.
into it, to brainstorming on what's going to be the next thing. And if you do that, you get very invested.
Yeah.
To be that invested, you must have passion. We talked about
Yeah.
passion. And passion is doing something that you like.
Yeah.
Right? So
Doing
if you're
something that
having
you love.
if you're
Yeah.
if you're having fun on that journey, it's easy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So when we would do stuff like that, when we do any of our projects, it's like when you and me do any of our projects, when you have passion doing it, it's really easy, but you have to be willing to do every single part of it. So if that means these guys we hired to go do the inventory didn't show up, well,
Yeah.
guess who's doing the inventory?
We are.
We are. Well, hey guys, we don't even have change to sell these shirts. Can someone go 2 miles down the road,
the
walk
bank, yeah.
to go get it?
Yeah.
Go do it.
It was
And we would do
it was the grunt work that people didn't want to do. And I'm
Still
glad
the
that the
grunt
kids
work.
are watching now because there's no shortcuts to success.
At all.
And I think that's what happens with us where I remember it was Las Vegas NBA All-Star. It was called the Empire Room. Was it Empire Room? And we were hanging up banners. And I remember falling from hanging up a banner and I twisted my ankle and I was like, dude, why am I doing this? You know what I mean? We should have somebody doing this. We're throwing this party. Why? And that right there kind of just taught us to say, look, if we do all the hard work, the fruits of the labor is going to come with it.
Well, what was crazy too is that when we were hanging up the banners, there was the event coordinator from Club Love in Washington D.C.
Yeah.
They had the venue on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday night, or Friday,
Yeah.
Saturday, Sunday night. We had it on Thursday. We were there Thursday setting up. They were already bringing in. This lady had a clipboard and telling all the people, the U-Haul back.
Oh, they had a whole
put it
team.
there. And then they were like, who's doing the party today? Oh, we are.
Yeah.
And you guys are hanging up the banners too? And they gave us a lot of props. But I remember, I don't remember.
It was Kenny Smith and all them too.
Yeah, but I don't know. The guys who ran Club Love were huge.
Yeah.
Huge in the nightclub industry. But they came to our party. They went out to promote because you had to do the grassroots hand-to-hand stuff. And they came back that Thursday and were like, you guys had the most poppinest party tonight.
The whole NBA also. Yeah, exactly.
We had a good party. We had
DJ Unk, we had Rich
and
Boy. Yeah.
And all the KMEL staff was involved.
Yeah.
And it was just a great party. So, I know we're jumping back and forth, but yeah.
Yeah, but it just goes back to the resume of
gotta
what
do
we're
it all.
talking about.
You gotta do it
You
all.
have to do it all because if you don't do it all, whatever part you're missing on not doing it all, that's going to be the downfall of getting to where you need to be.
So you got to be willing to do it all.
Yes.
But do you have to do it all? I'd say now, for me, no. I've changed a lot, especially in this last couple years.
Yeah.
Where I think before it's hard to kind of assign other people to do stuff, to relinquish control or, delegate.
Yeah.
But I think now, it's just a different way for me that I do business and I think of. So I would say you don't have to do it all.
Yeah.
But the person doing it needs to be the right person who knows what they're doing. So just because it's your friend doesn't mean
Yeah.
they know what they're doing.
Say that again, B, because just because they're your friend doesn't mean you can let them shortcut anything that you're doing, especially if you're doing it
If
together.
it's their expertise.
Yeah. That's
If
true.
it's their expertise,
Yeah.
if I need an MC, who do I hire?
Exactly.
If I need a DJ, I know who I hire. If
Yeah.
I need someone to handle production, I know who I hire.
Where their strengths were at.
And then so I'm involved in multiple businesses that require certain skilled or positions that have strength. That's not
Yeah.
something we're teaching someone out of high school.
Yeah.
So I always go back and give a job to someone that I know. First and foremost. Now, if there's no one who could do it, and I can't do it.
Yeah.
Then I will go and find the right person. But
Come on, kids.
You have to have the right people involved, man.
These are nuggets that Brand One is telling y'all because I think in the game now with social media now, I think me and you had a transition to the social media world where like saying, okay, instead of handing out flyers to 100 people, we could just post a flyer and it could hit 1,000 people. How did you transition from graphic design, from the grassroots that you came from, into the social media world? Was it easy for you or was it a challenge for you as well?
So, I got to say, like, social media is not my strong point.
Yeah.
And I think I had a private account up until, like, a couple years ago.
Yeah.
So I feel like I missed the boat on getting, like, a lot of followers.
Yeah.
I'm still kind of old that way where I don't necessarily care.
Yeah.
I don't do stuff for Instagram. I use
For the gram.
I use Instagram as a tool.
Absolutely.
And I use it as the tool that I feel comfortable using it for. So you won't look, you'll see a transition up a couple years ago from my post. If you went back on my post and look at like beginning of January January 2021.
Yeah.
Or around there, you'll see a transition where I went from kind of giving gems out, feeling like I need to give gems to people and my followers, which I didn't have that many, to focusing more on what I'm focusing on now is my own merchandise.
Yes.
And
so by using it as a tool.
I use it as a tool, but I don't use it as the funnel. Does that make sense? Is that the right word?
But that brings me back to where a lot of these kids are using social media just to use it. And I tell people to this day, if you use social media the right way as a tool for your brand, for what you're selling, for everything that you're doing, that is the perfect tool that if you use it the right way, kids.
So, and when you say right way, I got to tell people, like, you got to realize that Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, TikTok, they offer different elements that what they do is they're actually owning a part of your business.
Yes.
So I now sell merchandise, but I do not use Instagram to sell my merchandise.
Yeah.
I use Instagram to promote, to get on what I own to get my merchandise. So I have my own, I have an SMS text thread. So I have a VIP list. So if you go to @MojoBrandon, you click and get on my VIP list, you'll get a text every time I release something.
Yeah.
And that's the best way to get a chance to get some of my products, which I've been fortunate enough that I have high demand. But if I used Instagram, I would actually have to pay them for more people to see that.
Got it.
To be able to purchase to
run the ads and do all
and
this.
I'm not going to do that. So, there's an algorithm that happens that doesn't allow all your people to see
what you're posting.
What you post. So, and then also if you ever use Instagram and run ads, they're actually going to, from what I understand, they're going to actually take away some of your views to make you rely on the post, the paying that for the advertisement.
Because it all goes back to what you're wanting to get on these ads. Are you promoting a show? Like I use it to promote the Western Conference podcast. I use it to promote whatever show that I'm a part of, because I think that aspect of it, if you do it the right way, that I tell these people all the time, is that there's some ads you can run that'll always be on something. That if you guys are trying to promote something, like I see people just to promote their page just to get more followers. But if you do it the right way, you say, okay, I want to use this tool as Instagram, as Facebook, to say, hey, guys, come check out the Western Conference podcast on YouTube and all platforms, because it can be used as that promotional tool if you do it. Because you being in the apparel game, you coming up with the 415 stuff, we're going to get into that as well. This is an intricate part of just another aspect and another avenue of how to get to your product, right?
Yeah, I think what's key is that you make sure you're being repetitive on what you're saying instead of focusing on one instance.
Yeah.
So if you're telling people to go watch your podcast on YouTube and that's a repetitive thing that you're saying, or go listen to your Love Jones podcast at this time.
Yeah.
That's repetitive, so it's not dated, right? But if I'm like, come buy this one shirt.
Yeah.
And this is how you do it, right? Get in this contest to win this one shirt.
The now,
it's you're going to be limited on how many people see it. So if I'm repetitive in what I'm saying, then obviously the people seeing it will hear it a lot.
Got it.
But also if someone new sees it, I'm still consistent on what I'm talking about.
Yep.
Which for me is to get on my VIP list.
Yeah.
And then also knowing that I own my VIP list. So I'm not going to use, so I see a lot of people doing this, subscriptions on Instagram.
Yeah.
And I don't know much about it, but I do know is it's going to be something that I'm going to have to charge for and they're going to manage.
Yeah.
I'd rather, if I'm going to do that, I'm going to do something that I own and I manage.
And that you control and you manage. Exactly. Absolutely.
That I control. So, and basically get them better value, and just being exclusive has something to say with it. If everyone's doing the same thing, yes, you need to be on it, but you don't always have to do it the same way as the next. Everything doesn't work for everyone.
No, absolutely. Different strokes for different folks.
Yeah, exactly.
But tell us how that transitions into your own brand that you got now.
So in January of 2021, was it 2020? Yeah, I guess last January, 2021, I decided to, so the pandemic hit a lot of people, including myself. And, it was just hard, way to earn like I was used to earning.
Yeah.
Right. So I was like, I got to fall back on my roots.
Yeah.
And I was like, telling people, hey, if you need any designs, let me know. And that was just really awkward because I wasn't designing for anyone. Right. And except for the bigger clients I had. And excuse me. And then so what happened at that time was I decided to relaunch my clothing line, and with the assistance with Mike from Savs,
Yeah.
who already had a machine going,
Yeah.
was able to help me make an easier transition to get back out.
Through e-commerce.
Yeah, through his e-commerce, the way he did it, he kind of gave me a blueprint, and he offered me some of his services that he already had kind of
Built
figured
in,
out.
yeah.
So it worked out, and for me, it was like, do I start a new brand? Do I do Mojo Labs? What do I do? And I was like, "No, I got a brand.
Yeah.
It's not Mojo Labs. It's Brandon Murio.
Absolutely.
It's myself." And it's funny because it was like, I've been known as many, a few names: Mojo Brandon, Brand One,
Brand One,
B1,
yeah.
whatever. But I was like, I want to be, if I'm going to continue my legacy, I think it should be by my name. So it's really interesting. If you go Google, anyone out there, if you go Google yourself,
Yeah.
what comes up?
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you one thing, your DUIs and all that, those might come up.
Yeah.
So if that's all you have popping up,
Yeah.
domestic violence, I mean, what do you
Yeah.
got?
What pops up when you put your name in
What
there?
pops up? Something you did, like you're a winner on some raffle or something.
Yeah.
What comes up? And so if I'm thinking about branding, the most important thing to do is brand yourself.
Yeah.
Right. And so when I'm now thinking about coming out with clothing, like, what am I going to do? Create a new brand from scratch?
Yeah.
And tell people how cool it is.
And try to
why they should
familiarize
follow
them
it,
with a new name.
and
Yeah.
explain
Absolutely.
it to them. No, I was just like, Brand Murio. You can Google me already. I'm
Yeah.
on Discogs.
Yeah.
I know what I've done in my life. I'm on, there's different things you can Google me on. And that's strange to say, but I'm just saying that was my thinking going into it. So I just came out with, it was all under Brandon Murio, and I have a website.
Yeah.
And I just run it off that, and it's just easy. And then so I was lucky enough to use Mike from Sav's platform to aid me to become successful again in clothing, because I wasn't doing it.
Yeah.
I wasn't doing it.
And that was due to the pandemic as well, because everyone kind of stopped what they were doing at that point, right?
Yeah, and I think online shopping was easy, and
Yeah.
I just wanted to figure out how to make it the easiest.
Yeah.
And the easiest for me is, get on my VIP. You're going to get a link for you to shop the second it becomes available.
And tell them what the website is since we're here.
I mean, you can go to mojo-labs.com or just brandonmurio.com.
Yeah. And I remember, so when you go to brandonmurio.com, remember there was a time when we talk about us coming up where Brandon was buying website names by the dozens. If something was hot on TV, so one that he had got was from the 49ers won the 5th Super Bowl. He was like, okay, we're in the playoff run again. We're in the Super Bowl. He bought Quest for 6. And it was like little things. I was like, dude, what are you doing?
I still own them.
Yeah. But like all these people,
SIX and the number 6 I want to buy.
but he kind of put me up on game. It was like, these websites, people are going to want these. And that was like a whole little another side hustle.
But I only sold one in my life.
Yeah.
I only sold it, not for that much. It was kind of to a partnership when I was a partner and they wanted to own it outright.
Yeah.
So that didn't really work out. And I had some good ones, but yeah, I still own Quest for 6. I don't want to jinx the Niners, so I'm kind of staying away from it
G,
right
no,
now.
G, we going this year, right? Yeah, we see. He's a Saints fan, so we'll go ahead and let that go. But
That was a great game, by the way.
and it's crazy because
What's it, 4 shutouts?
no, because Georgia started going on about it. But look, now we have Brandon Murio, the brand, and now what I'll tell you when it comes full circle, because tell us what you're doing now. What your actual position is now. What got you to where you at?
So I mean, I think one of the big changes in my life, or progressions I like to call it, in my life was to actually get my first job.
Yeah. And this is crazy for me, because this coming from somebody that was so independent for so long, to say this is why I call it a full circle moment, because we were like taboo jobs back. That was like our hustle every time. It was like, I'm not working on 9 to 5. I'm not working a 9 to 5. And it came back to this moment. But when he goes to tell you what this 9 to 5 is now, tell us how that even came about.
So I mean, I was actually promoting my first release in January of 2020, the Hustlin' hoodie, which was actually the first independent clothing I did outside of Sucker Free was this Hustlin' shirt.
Hustlin',
So I decided it was this milestone. I was like, I'm gonna re-release it as a hoodie.
Yeah.
So I started being like, I got to give it to the key people in the city.
How we always did.
So I went and texted all these people, and I was looking at my thing, and I was like, oh, I got to give it to my boy Ghazi.
Yeah.
He's doing big things over there at Empire.
Shout out Ghazi.
Yeah, shout out Ghazi. And what I did is I texted him, and he hit me back. He's like, what is this?
Yeah.
I can imagine Ghazi talking. What is this? I was like, oh, it's this, I'm re-release that design I used to do, and I'm gonna do it as a hoodie. I want to send you it.
Yeah.
He's like, oh shoot, that's dope. You know, here's the address. He's like, he hits me up 10 minutes later. He's like, bro, I need you. He texted me. I'm about to put this job up and it's you.
Yeah.
He was like, it's you. Like, I don't need to put this job listing up, have my human source put up.
Crazy.
You're the one I need. And
Crazy.
I was like, what are you talking about, bro?
Yeah.
He's like, I need a designer that helps with our merch in our brand new merch department.
Yeah. And we're talking Empire. This is a big deal.
Yeah, an Empire. You know, you guys can, you know, look what Empire is. And he was like, and I started learning more about Ghazi at that point, because even though I've been friends with him for 20 years and kind of helped him when he had his when he worked for other companies, and then he had his own company of doing
printing up
CDs
discs. And printing up the CDs
and doing all that. And I watched him in Empire, which I wasn't really ever aided in. And then he hit me up, and I was like, nah, bro, like I don't gotta work for no one. I'm good.
So that was your initial reaction to it.
That was my initial action, right? And then Gaz was like, so he's like, I don't know, you know, I don't know the time constraints of this, but he was like, can I call you?
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, all good, call me. And he hits me up, and I don't know where he is, right? And he's like talking to me with all this passion.
Yeah.
How I do to people, you know, when I'm excited too. B, you're from San Francisco too?
Yeah.
Like, bro, I need you. This job is made for you. Just, you know, just take a chance and this and that. I'll make it up. You know, you'll be worth it.
You won't regret it.
And I was like, yeah, bro, like, you're throwing a lot of stuff at me, and maybe, you know, put it in writing, whatever, and let me see what you're talking about. I don't know. But right now I'm not interested.
Yeah.
So I get like a mail, you know, maybe that was a Friday or a Thursday, or I don't know when it was, but I get this email, and I get a job offer.
Yeah.
Never seen a job offer in my life.
Exactly.
Never applied for a job in my life.
Yeah.
So I look at, I don't even think I opened it.
Yeah.
I didn't even open it. I was busy. I wasn't really busy too. It was during the pandemic. And I was kind of like not trying to look at it. And I think I opened it. No, the girl from Human Resources either called me or emailed me like, hey, you didn't sign your job offer.
Yeah.
I was like, I didn't even take the job.
Yeah. What job? What are you talking about?
I go, what are you talking about? So what happened was so I was like, let me look it over and I'll let you know. I'll hit you back. So I actually opened it up. And I took a look at it, and I was like, I didn't understand it.
Yeah.
So I was like, I hit up Ghazi, and I was like, can we have a meeting, like face to face in person? He was like, yeah, let's have that. So I think that Thursday I went and talked to him and Renee George.
Yeah, shout out Renee.
He was actually another one of my partners. I like to call them partners, not bosses or coworkers. My other partners, and that's, I feel like how Ghazi actually refers to us as well. And I had a meeting with them too at the studio at the world famous Empire Studios. And Ghazi was just like, B, whatever you need, I'll say yes to.
Yeah.
Let's go. And I was like, so it's like one of those things where they make you an offer you can't refuse. That's what happened. So
that's crazy.
My title at that point was staff designer, which I come in at a pretty low level, which that's why I felt comfortable coming in. I actually was what the job was, I think. He was like, yeah, you have more expertise than this, but this is the job. I was like, nah, bro, like, I don't know how to do the corporate thing. I don't even know how this works. We don't
know how this whole structure is done.
I don't know how to keep my mouth shut sometimes.
Yeah.
And I said, so it's perfect. So I came in, I think within 3 months, I got moved up to senior designer. But I'm in the merchandise department, which is a great thing. It's a great fit for me. I kind of told them I didn't want to do album covers and billboards and all that stuff.
And you're basically just designing the merch for the artists.
I actually feel like my title is senior designer, but I definitely don't necessarily design every piece of merch that comes through, but I definitely production design it. So I definitely have to take what's given to us. If we didn't design it, if they outsource design or they came with design, I have to get it ready to be able to be an actual sellable product.
And that's crazy because when I say full circle, you go back to your San Francisco State days where Pops put that seed in you about being a graphic designer. Now to be the senior designer at Empire, one of the hugest record labels in the world right now, for our boy Ghazi, who we've known for years, and now he's one of the most powerful people in the music industry. That's what I talk about when we say it goes full circle. Because we've done what we did. You came up through the ranks as doing it through the graphic and all the hustling, and it goes back to a San Francisco brand, San Francisco home where Empire is located at, And now look at what you're doing.
You know what's even more crazy is first full circle. I'm lying. I did have another job.
Yeah.
My first job out of, I don't know how old I was, maybe out of high school. My mom worked at 235 Pine Street. I'm not going to name the company.
Yeah.
And she got me a job in the mailroom. So I worked in the mailroom. I was a weed smoker.
Yeah.
So it was perfect. So we were doing mailroom for this big financial company. And that's
Yeah.
all I did. I think I did it for the summer. My office right now, I don't even know if I should say what the office is for Empire. Is at 235 Pine. We have we had the penthouse. So I work in the top floor of that building.
That you were working the mailroom in.
I was working in the mailroom.
Get the fuck out of here. Come on, man.
So it was crazy. And, you know, all these things come to you and you try to figure it out.
Yeah.
But like you said, you know, just stuff, it revolves and you got to embrace it and you got to know how to pivot.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And what's crazy about working there, which I have a great team. These guys I work with is a great team.
That's crazy.
And the one thing people need to know about our team at Empire, all the artists out there that are on our roster, is that you got an all-star team when it comes to merch.
Absolutely.
I don't think you understand that the level of ability and expertise on every department within the merch department, they're all stars.
Yeah.
You know, these people came from some of the biggest touring companies, managed some big hip hop artists, have been in the streets as far as in the movement and the culture of San Francisco. Creatively have been in charge of a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And you have all of that Ghazi assembled, like an all-star team for merch, that I wish some of them would actually understand that, because it would be a great thing.
Yeah.
Another thing is that, you know, when we see posts on Instagram and they give credit to like the photographer.
Yeah.
Or they give credit to the producer of the track.
Yeah.
They don't give credit to these people who do the merch.
Ever.
You know what I'm saying? So, which is fine. I'm not an ego-driven guy.
Yeah.
But I really believe that if they understood the all-star caliber of executives or these creatives that we have in this merch department, man, we kill it.
Yeah.
And to name drop a little, like my first project there was Babyface Ray from Detroit, who was a more of a local artist 2 years ago in that region, is a huge artist now.
Yeah.
And some of the San Francisco artists that I've been able to work with is people like Larry June.
Yeah. Shout out Larry June, man.
And on top of that, I was able to work on Aaliyah.
Yeah.
Aaliyah's whole catalog and everything from Blackground.
Yeah.
And, you know, so the kind of people that I'm working with, you know, that we're working with right now, Babytron and Lucky, like these are huge artists that are doing very well. I feel blessed I'm even able to touch their projects.
And that just goes back to what we were saying too. You keep, because everything's written. In my thinking nowadays, everything was written. What you're doing now, what you came from, how you came up, and how you went through the whole maneuvers of doing it.
Yeah.
That's why I call it full circle. And now we're here on my Western Conference podcast, and we're talking about everything we came from. And I still think to this day, we're still just touching the surface of what we're capable of. So for somebody that's watching this podcast, before we get up out of here, what is your advice to that kid who's smoking weed right now, working in the mailroom? What is your advice to that kid?
Nothing comes without hard work. I don't care what you think.
Yeah.
The hard work is what changes the game, right? So someone can throw you a bone. That's the easy part. It's what you do with it. What are you going to take that bone and do with it? Like, you have to take it to the next level. Have high goals and then have milestones in between. And your goals need to be high. If I wanted to save, you've heard this before, we want to save $1 million, $10,000. I don't say I'm going to save $10,000.
Yeah.
Because stuff's going to happen in the time that you're going to have to take out a couple thousand here, 1,000 here, whatever's going to happen. That 10,000 never hits. Let's raise $1 million.
Yeah.
Then you're going to definitely save that 10,000 plus. So, I mean, it's just hard work. I mean, you got to think of it that you always striving for progression. So if everything's not going forward and you're progressing, then you're plateauing or you're declining.
Come on.
But plateauing is just as bad as a decline.
Yeah.
People get so comfortable. And that was the one thing I had against working for a company is you're still an employee. You got to make yourself valuable, right? Are you valuable there?
Yep.
And if you did get let go, are you comfortable where you're at away from them?
Yeah.
So progression is key.
Come on.
You know, there's so many things, you know, we don't have enough time to talk about. But yeah, I mean, progression, always progression.
Come on, man. If you're not progressing, you're doing yourself a disservice. But, man, we had to have this conversation. It's been a long time coming, and we've been friends for over 20 years. And to just give the kids a little bit of what our upbringing was and to see where we're still at today, we're just getting started.
Sure.
Shout out my brother, Brandon Murio. Looking for BrandonMurio.com. Brandon, is that what is the website?
Yeah, that'll work.
Go there right now. Go order you some 415 gear. But other than that, thank you, brother, for coming through.
Right on, bro. I love you.
Love you, brother,
Love
man.
what you're doing.
And we'll see you guys on the next one, Western Conference Podcast. Peace.
Peace.